In my world, where there are dozens, if not hundreds, of companies selling the same types of software, I spend a lot of time on brand positioning and helping companies differentiate themselves in some way from the competition. If you don't stand out, then you get lost in the crowd. And that's a very dangerous place to
Yeah.
be if you're selling a product that looks and feels like everybody else's. And I know this is a difficult question when it comes to taste and products like whiskey, but how do you differentiate your product from all the other Irish whiskeys out there, let alone other types of whiskeys, so that you stand out and that people know you for something? Now, it may be the company's Irish heritage, it may be your history, it may be the brand that you've built over the last 20 years. Talk about differentiation and how you make that happen.
There's two aspects to that for us within Dunville's and within Echlinville. The first aspect is differentiating your liquid, differentiating your whiskey. That comes quite naturally to us. That comes quite easy. We acquired an old brand called Dunville's Irish Whiskey. Dunville's Irish Whiskey was a Belfast brand dating back to 1808. In the 1800s, whenever Irish whiskey was the king of spirits worldwide, 70% of all brown spirits sold in the world was Irish. Donaville's was the largest brand in the world. The largest distillery in the world was based in Belfast, Donaville's Irish Whiskey. Masters of marketing back in the 1800s, 56 markets worldwide, 27 offices throughout the world. Donville's artifacts, mirrors, etc., will still adorn all the best whiskey pubs around the world. We acquired this old brand, and we were very aware that we could have stood accused of taking an old brand and trying to milk it. So we overcompensated by making extremely good whiskey. I guess we make whiskey without compromise. So differentiating our liquids differentiate themselves by the sheer quality of the liquids. We do very, very long cask maturations in old world European casks, sherries, ports, fortified wines. We also use rum casks from the Caribbean. Those casks that would have been about in the 1850s, 1860s, whenever Irish whiskey was the largest spirit in the world. We make exceptionally high-end single malt and blends, finished for long times in very, very good sherry casks. We take the best whiskey we can get, or we put it in the best casks in the world, and we leave it for as long as it takes. We win hordes of awards. Last year at the Irish Whiskey Awards, I think there was 11 whiskey categories. We won 5 of them, including winning the best overall whiskey in Ireland. Now, for a young distillery like Echlinville, which is still family owned, that's a massive achievement. If I can get my whiskey onto your lips, you will buy my whiskey. As was proven yesterday at the Spirit of Toronto show, we done a masterclass before it started with 60 people. They tasted the whiskey. They came out in the masterclass, told their mates, and our stand was the busiest stand at the show. For a small brand like Echlinville, we were the busiest stand at the show. That's all about liquid on lips. So making good liquid, we find not easy, but if you just adhere to those core principles of making whiskey without compromise, we can differentiate our spirit quite easily. Differentiating your brand takes a lot more work, and if it didn't, you guys wouldn't have jobs. So differentiating your brand is a lot harder, and we are experts in making whiskey. Building brands, maybe not so much yet, but we build on the whiskey heritage of Ireland and of Belfast. So we resurrect old Irish whiskey brands, initially Dunville's, which makes single malt and blends. We then brought back Old Cumber. Old Cumber was a distillery 12 miles from our distillery. It closed down in 1957. It was our local distillery. So we brought that brand back. That does an Irish pot still, a different type of whiskey. And we try and take those old brands. We rely very heavily on the tradition and heritage of what those brands were. And then we try and slowly bring that into a modern era. So we will be very sympathetic to the old labels, to the old branding, to the old brand values and messages, the core values of the company. And we will slowly add a modern contemporary twist to that.